All righty. Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Okay. It is so great to see everyone. We have so many people joining us. I see Florida, Massachusetts, Bermuda, Connecticut City, Boston, Canada, Montreal, Los Angeles, Humboldt. Namaste. I love that. Hello from Amsterdam, more Florida, Canada, Romania, New Mexico. Oh my goodness, this is turning out to be an absolutely exciting event already. My name is Leanne, and I am a member of the numerologist team. Usually, I work behind the scenes, and I have I'm very fortunate. I'm in the very fortunate position where I have the opportunity to connect with our guest contributors and our guest partners and experts on a regular basis behind the scenes. And so we've decided to bring these conversations out to the forefront and to connect our experts to all of you in a brand new way. So welcome to the Soul Summit 2020. This is the first ever experience of this kind that we have ever done at Numerologist, and I am so excited to spend the entire day with all of you. So again, if you're oh my gosh, this is amazing. We have Poland, Alabama, Germany, San Diego, Dubai, Georgia, Croatia. I wonder how many countries we are going to have by the end of this. Is just unbelievable. I'm getting chills right now, and this truly is a global event. We are so fortunate to have such an incredible community at Numerologist. And honestly, we exist because you guys, you're here. So thank you so much. We're getting started right now. My name is Leanne. For everybody who's joining us today, welcome. Welcome to the Soul Summit 2020. We have an absolutely incredible day planned for you. I know what's waiting and what's to come, and you're going to walk away with questions answered. Hopefully, you're going to walk away with a new spark, with some revitalization, renewed energy, with renewed hope, and really with some next steps and inspiration to move into the future and to create the future that is waiting. And so, oh my God, cool. I'm seeing everybody popping in. I do want to just take a quick minute and let you know that your name, you're showing up as my name, but we're all one. So hey, we're just gonna make this, it's all good. And I'm so excited to see everybody. I'm just blown away at the international crew that we have going today. So I'm just gonna wait another couple of minutes and we're gonna get started. And today, one of my favorite people, her name is Natalie Olson, and I'll call her on when we're ready to officially get started. But let me tell you, we are going to start off with a bang. We have such an incredible conversation waiting for all of you. So if you let me just see here. So I just want to take a minute and I want to run through a couple of things to ensure that you absolute best viewing experience possible. So if you are able to join us from a desktop computer, that is the optimal way to join, or a mobile phone. You can literally have the Soul Summit. You can have a pocket full of soul today if you join us from your mobile. If you are a laptop or a desktop, Chrome and Firefox work best for the browsers. And so if you're joining us from another browser, you might want to just it's easy to install if you don't have Google Chrome or Firefox, or just simply pull that up on your computer and you can join us from there. Another quick tip, if you have Netflix open or YouTube open or any other page, really web page that has videos or audios, just take a minute and close that down. And if you have any other web pages open, just go ahead and close those down too. Because honestly, let's just be here, let's be present, let's be distraction free. I know that I've just checked my phone, my sound is turned off, everything else is closed. I'm here to be with you guys all day, and I am so excited to get started. Um, so if you have any questions or if you need support, just leave a message in the chat. We do have our customer support team is available to help. And if you do need to reach out to support directly, that is support@numerologist.com. SUPPORT@numerologist.com. You should have also received an email from us about half an hour ago. All of these tips are in there, and you can contact our support. The support contact information is there. All right, so wow, we have Melbourne. This is absolutely unbelievable. If you are hearing something, go up to the top right-hand corner and you can press enable audio, and that should do the trick. If you're still having issues, try refreshing. Alrighty, so for everyone who's just joining, I'm going to officially kick this event off. Welcome to the Soul Summit 2020. My name is Leanne Kalal, and I am so honored and so excited be here today. We have put a lot of heart and, of course, a lot of soul into planning this event. The numerologist team really wanted to do something special for our community. We know that these are unprecedented times, and it's like, what the heck has been going on? 2020 has thrown a lot of curveballs our way. Now, lucky for us, very lucky for us, we are connected with some of the top experts in the world when it comes to the fields of numerology and astrology, color therapy, angels, crystals, you name it. We have an expert here today. Now, you'll notice that this afternoon we have a surprise. So stay tuned, because I will be revealing that surprise this morning. And again, we wanted to do something extra special for all of you. We appreciate you guys, and let's come together and join forces to make the rest of 2020 the absolute best. And with that being said, I would love to welcome our first guest expert onto the stage right now. So Natalie Olson, if you're able to join us now, we are ready for you. I see her in the waiting rings in our virtual stage. There she is. Woo! Hi, Natalie. It is so wonderful to have you here. Everyone, I just want to take a quick minute to introduce Natalie. She is one of ours at Numerologist. We have incredible products with her because she truly is one of the most unique and wisdom-filled numerologists that we have ever come across. Natalie she has a coaching business, and she's been a numerologist for years now. And Natalie, I know that you have a really unique story about how you got into numerology. So I'm going to I'm passing the mic over to you right now. And I'd love to start off by just giving everyone a sneak peek at your story and behind the scenes, because I know your story really inspired me, and it inspired me to get to know my numbers better. And I want everyone to experience that gift as well.
Thanks, Leanne. First of all, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I think there's a little delay, but I can hear you.
There's a little delay. Okay. So first of all, thank you for having me. And to answer your question, how did I get into this work? I always tell people that I never thought I would become a numerologist. It was not something that was sort of on my career list. In my early 20s, I was obsessed with becoming a nutritionist. So I got in my nutrition education degree. I was the healthiest person that you would have ever met. And I was doing seminars at gyms, and I was building up my clientele. But then one morning, I woke up really, really sick. And fast forward to about 6 months later, I had been bedridden. My immune system just wasn't functioning, but they didn't know why. And they sent me home and they said, "You're just gonna have to adjust to this. This is this is gonna be the new normal for you." And it was at that point that I was backed into a corner, and the only place left to look for healing and understanding what was really going on was my spiritual life. And it's still kind of crazy when I look back, but there was this old box of books that I had bought when I was a teenager. And on the top of that box was a book by Matthew Goodwin, an MIT mathematician who was talking about numerology. And gosh, in that 10 minutes of reading about my numbers, I learned more about why I was sick than in that 6 months of paying specialists and going to hospitals and things like that. So I started to apply the wisdom of my numbers and I started healing when no one said I would. And that wasn't enough for me to abandon my nutrition career. Um, but when I started to crunch the numbers of my loved ones and then of my friends, I started to see that there was this incredible, uncanny accuracy and that it was helping people more in like one, 1 hour session than I was helping people in weeks, if not months, coaching. So I abandoned my nutrition career and um, fully devoted myself to this work.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I know that when you and I first connected and I was learning more about how you were able to tune into your personal life path number, and really the wisdom of your personal numerology chart to start to make positive changes in your life, I was sold. I'm like, okay, it is time for me to take a closer look because numbers are truly all around us. And since I've known you, I've really, and since I've been a part of the numerology, I've really gained a deeper understanding and appreciation for numerology. And so I want everyone who's listening right now, if you're having issues, you might not be able to hear me, but just refresh. Try refreshing. It usually works. And I also want to just give you a quick sneak peek into what Natalie and I are going to be talking about throughout our time together today. And so Natalie is actually going to be reviewing and sharing some tips and advice for your individual life path numbers. So stay tuned for that. But before we get into talking about the life path numbers, Natalie, I am so curious to know, what are your thoughts about what is going on in the world right now, and what gems can we get out of this as a collective and as individuals? Because I always just love, you're a philosopher. I always love your philosophical viewpoint and perspective that you bring to the table. It's always very insightful and uplifting.
Well, I've been thinking a lot about this with COVID, with the quarantine going on. Okay, so in short, here's what I think is going on. Sort of the broad umbrella perspective. We are being confronted with feeling dominated by the external world. And what is required then is to come back to that basic truth that I believe numerology teaches, that there's a power inside of us that's more powerful than anything that's going on out there. So, in essence, what's going on right now, although it's very unique and very wacky and very unusual, in essence, it's actually not that for you and I. It's not foreign that traumas and challenges that are coming at us are affecting our belief in ourselves and our belief in our ability to create our dreams. And I was thinking, can I get personal for a second?
Yes, please do.
Okay, I'll share just a quick personal story that I was thinking about the other night. Um, I think all of you guys can relate to this. Or I remember that my husband at the time, he came home. We had been married for 13 years. And he said, Nat, I'm done with this marriage. And in that moment, I remember that I could see like two paths ahead of me, and I had to choose. I had to choose which path to take. So, one path was believing that this event that happened, this thing that blindsided me, meant was an experience that um, I was unworthy, fill in the blank. So it's that path of believing that we're victims to what happens to us. And we just have to armor up and protect ourselves and sort of try to get through. And the other path I saw was the other choice that I could make was to believe that this was an opportunity to create a new love story, that this was an opportunity to actually reinvent my life, to come back to home base and say, all right, cosmic best friend, all right, universe, um, I'm going to create with you. Like, let's do this. This is an opportunity for that. And you'll see that this is similar to this truth that I want to share with you. It's an example of this truth. There's power inside of me. There's a power inside of you that's more powerful than anything going on out there. And so I sat down and I wrote a list of the things that I wanted to create and experience in my life, but also in my love life. And because of that, I was able to actually create a better life, a life of my dreams, and manifest a new marriage that's truly in alignment with my soul, when I very well could have been decimated by that moment. So I'm bringing up this example because this is what we're faced with, right? COVID quarantine is another version of feeling that we are being controlled by the outside world. And so what I want to come back to and what I want to share with you today is that numerology teaches that we really have been gifted with superpowers, with a set of numbers that are unique to every single one of us, that we can use to create our best life. List of what's going on in the world, with your kids, with your spouse, with the company that you work for, power inside of you that you can align with to create the destiny of your day and to influence your life. So that's what I've been thinking about lately.
Wow. No big deal. Just a few thoughts here and there. Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing that. And I just want to say for everybody out there who's watching us right now, make sure you have a notebook and a pen and take notes, because there are going to be so many wisdom bombs dropped throughout the day. And I know that I'm already starting to take some notes. So one of the reoccurring themes that really came up as I was talking to when I was talking with you, Nat, and with the other speakers who are joining us today, is that this truly is a powerful time for us to realign and reconnect with what's inside of us. Because there's so much stuff
Mhm.
going on in the world right now. There's so much external stuff going on, and it can feel like we have no control. And I know there's times when I
Yeah.
feel like, oh man, things are spiraling out of control. And what you said,
Me too.
right? We're human. And what you
Yeah.
said, it gives me chills, and it reminds me that we have everything we need inside, but sometimes we need some guidance, we need reminders, and there's always the opportunity to create the life that we truly want to live. So thank you for reminding us that now is actually a really wonderful time to create. In many ways, we've been
Oh,
stripped away, right? Like things have been stripped
yeah.
away, and we're kind of back down to a baseline. And so I'm really
Yeah.
interested to hear from everybody who's tuning in right now. Just share that. What do you want to create in your life moving forward? What would you like to see as a collective? As what would you like to see this new world that's emerging be like?
Ooh, Leanne, that's so
Right?
good. Oh, that's so good. Yes.
And so, Nat, I know that you, aside from being an incredible philosopher, you are a numerologist. And we are in a universal 4 year right now. What the heck does that mean?
Yes.
Can you share? Because I know before I used to think the 4 was maybe kind of boring. And then as I've learned more about this number and what's available for everyone to tune into, now I'm a fan. I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah, isn't the 4 magical? And I mean, we'll never think of the 4 as being boring after 2020, right?
That is very true.
Okay. So, um, in general, what the 4 out is it's about building a solid foundation for our future. But how do we go about doing this? What comes up when the 4 is beckoning us to create stability and solidarity and thriving? Usually, what it brings up, as we're seeing right now in the world, is being able to address those things that are inherently unstable. So, if there are any missing puzzle pieces collectively, the foundation of our nation, for instance, it'll be brought up. But I like to talk about these timing cycles in a personal way, right? Does this bring personal life? Um, the 4 is it is one of my favorite numbers as well. I think I say that about everyone, but I the 4 as this that shows up in your life, a warrior, a protector, like a knight. And it says, what do you want me to protect? What do you want me to strengthen? So it's confronting in that way because a lot of us don't even know what we're building, or we are still in that dreamy phase where the things that we want are just still abstract and we're not devoting ourselves or committing ourselves to it with our tangible action, with our blood, sweat, and tears, with our own 2 hands, right? So this knight shows up and says, what do you want me to protect? And so it's very, very important that you know what you want to build. It's very important that you devote and commit yourself to what matters to you in your life. Because if you do that, then this can be a very productive time. This can be a time that you'll look back and go, wow, the things that I did during 2020, they really served an incredible purpose. They really allowed me to catapult myself into new lands and new territories and up leveling in my life. But you have to make sure that you know you're building. And I even go so far as saying that there's another step after that. So it's not just about knowing what you want to build and knowing what you want to create in your life, but it's putting boundaries around it. So if you don't have healthy boundaries, and if you let other people's drama distract you, if you sabotage your efforts in a myriad of ways, you'll start to notice those things coming up this year. You'll start to become aware of the areas in your life where there are big holes, right? So that knight in shining armor that's just going to be like scrambling all around your kingdom, saying, there are all these holes in the wall. Can you help me? Can you help me protect what you're building? And so I think one of the biggest boundaries that we're all being called to put up is just simply a boundary around productivity, a boundary around our focus. So if you have a goal, if you have a dream, Make sure that you're actually focusing on that dream with tangible effort, with a practical plan. Because you don't have that, then there are going to be dramas and things that are going to wiggle their way in. And we don't want that. We want you to create and materialize your dreams. And that's what the four is all about. So in review, the four is about building a solid foundation for your future. It's about making sure that you know what you want to build and being able to actually enforce boundaries around what you're building by utilizing your time wisely, by actually putting your practical energy into the things that you say matter to you.
Wow, that was so powerful. Thank you for sharing. And I love hearing you talk about the numbers. And so just to recap for people joining, um, in a few minutes, we're going to start talking about the individual life path numbers because I see so many people sharing, I'm this path number. What about me? Right now, Natalie just shared about the universal 4 year that we are in right now. And the main messages and themes of this really taking this time to build a stable foundation for ourselves and really getting clear on what you want to build in your kingdom. And so, Natalie, a question that came up for me is, do you have any advice for our listeners and viewers to really help them connect with what is important to them? What are they willing to protect? Because might be a time when they're starting to realize what's actually not as important as what they've previously thought, or are they ready to let go of? And so what advice do you have for helping people really get clear on what they're ready, what they want to protect in their life and their kingdom?
The fastest way to identify what matters to you is to write down what you know you don't want. So sometimes one of the things that the four brings up, and we're in a four universal year, is anger. Um, Anger around what isn't happening. Anger around what hasn't worked out. And you can use this anger actually to help build your new kingdom by sitting and writing down, what have I learned I don't want? What have I learned just pisses me off and makes me feel bad and makes me feel sad? To actually sit down and write that out. Because oftentimes the thing that we're the most upset or angry about the past, or about the state of our lives, or whatever it is, holds within it a treasure of what we most want. And that's a great question, Leanne, because I would say that a reason why people need one-on-one coaching, which is a part of what I do, is because they can't even answer the question, what do I want? Or what matters to me? Because we're so busy meeting the needs of other people and just trying to maintain in our lives. So this is one of the coaching techniques that we do, is we'll sit down and write out what you don't want. And then the opposite of that is what you really want to protect.
I absolutely love that. That is so powerful. Thank you, Nat. And so, with on that note of getting clear about what do you not want, I think that the perfect transition and segue into talking about the universal month that we are in right now. Because right now, so as for everybody listening, we're in a universal year 4. Now, that is the general energy and frequency that we're experiencing as a collective throughout 2020. There are also universal months. And so each month that we move through has its own energetic trend and forecast. And I'm a life path number 9. And so I may have, I may be biased, but I personally am really excited that we are in a 9 universal month, because there's a lot of opportunity that exists. And I actually think it's no coincidence that we are having these conversations in a 9 universal month. So Natalie, I'm going to pass it back over to you, and I'd love to hear, what does this 9 universal month mean, and how can people leverage the energy that's all around us to really start letting go of what's not working for them, even if they don't know exactly what they want?
Yeah. God, you're so good at this, Leanne. um, Speaking about numerology, you're really good at it. Um, okay. So, what can we do right now during a 9 universal month? Um, so, let me back up for just a second, because I know that there's a lot of people joining who are learning the basics of this work of numerology. Excuse me. So, remember, 2020 is a 4 universal year. So, that means all year long, to really succeed, we are going to be called to take practical action on our dreams, to protect our dreams. Okay. And then every single month this year, we have sort of a small assignment to help us protect our dreams. And so the assignment in this 9 universal month is to put up boundaries around the past. Why is this important? Um, the only way that you can have a new beginning is if you let go. The only way that you can step into a new expression of yourself or your life, the only way that you can up level in some area of your life is if you are willing to let go of the old. And so putting up boundaries around the past is very important. And oh my gosh, as a 9, you will relate to this, Leanne. I'm a 9 expression number in numerology. So this is very historical for you and I. But nines, the 9 has an energy of depth and wisdom. And because it represents the past and it represents endings, we have a tendency to dwell. Okay. So that's something we're all confronted with here this month in a 9 universal month, is like, we kind of want to dwell on the past. The past will come up, right? We'll think about that old relationship, that old job. We'll sort of look over the timeline of our life and say, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Past pain and suffering can come up. And so we might have a tendency to dwell on the past, thinking that by doing so, somehow we will extract some kind of motivation or inspiration to move forward. But what really we need to be doing is we need to just simply to put up a boundary around the past. We need to just take a moment to ask ourselves what we learned about the past. What have we learned in this past, 5 months? What have we learned during this crazy, wacky year so far? What have we learned about the pain that might be coming up? And then to whatever we've learned and to actually start to embody it right now. Okay. So if you learned, for instance, that you no longer want to be interacting with unkind people, maybe that's one of the things that you learned, then you know that kindness is a value, similar to the exercise I gave earlier, right? Okay, what is it that you do want? To let go of the past. I identify what you learned, and then you have to start acting on it. You have to start embodying it. You have to be the leader and become it. And when you do this, you start to actually experience the positive benefits of the 9, which is a lightening of the load, a feeling of rejuvenation, of release, like this weight has been lifted off your shoulders. And you finally have the inspiration and enthusiasm to move forward into a new beginning.
Wow. That was incredible. Thank you for talking more about the number 9 and for sharing those tips, Nat, because I think that a trend that I've noticed when I'm talking with people and having conversations is that it's really easy to get stuck in the past. And it's really easy to stay in the hurt of the past or to keep replaying those past conversations or incidents or events that have happened. And I think that there's a fine line between being able to honor the past by actually, and it's like I think sometimes feel like people might feel like if they just let go on the future, that means they don't care about that person or that they're somehow dishonoring what's happened. But really, to honor the past, to honor that person, to honor the incident or whatever it is that has happened in the past, I think you nailed it. You can look and you can actually learn. Take a look at, like, what did you learn? And so I'm going to just encourage everyone to just take a minute right now and share in the chat, what have you learned over the past few weeks about yourself or about somebody, a friend or a loved one? So just share with us, what have you learned this time? Because I think that even just taking a moment to connect with something that is really going to help us let go of being stuck so that we can open the next door. And it really is that I'm being reminded of a song that I listened to when I was a teenager. And it was all about, like, you close one door, and when you close one door, another door opens. And I know that we grow, we evolve. We're not meant to be the same person that we were 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And so being able to honor that past, honor that person by actually closing the door so that you can show up as who you are today.
Well said. Well said. And can I
Thank
say something too? Just because I always go to love and relationships because that's one of my favorite things. I have a two hearts desire. Um, by the way, this is true when you're in a long term marriage partnership or you're in a career, right? That closing a door or letting go of the past is something that happens cyclically, like it happens over and over again. And so you can actually also this month really think about if there's an area of your life where you want a new beginning, if there's an area of your life where you want to feel that fresh inspiration and enthusiasm, requires you can't get to the number one without going through the nine first. Okay. So if you in your marriage, for instance, are wanting that that like new beginning, that fresh start, you have to work with this energy. What is it that I need to let go of? What is it that I'm no longer wanting? Okay. What is it that I need to extract the new desire that I've learned from this past cycle? And how can I actually start to advocate for that new desire in what is present here before me? So anyway, it's so powerful, this concept of the nine to the one.
Yeah, it really is. And so, whew, thank you. So far, I'm just writing a ton of notes. This has been really, it's just been a really interesting conversation. And so we've been talking about the universal that we are all experiencing. And I'm reading the comments right now. And I know I wish that I just could stare at them nonstop because thank you everyone for just tuning in and sharing what you've been learning about yourself. And it is really, really, it's a really powerful time. And so there's always gifts in the challenges. And with now that we've focused on the universal collective energies, I would love to dive into discussing each life path. And so, Natalie, I know when you and I were talking before, we've talked about the life path number one, and you really said that this is something that we should be for nothing, your message for all of the life path number ones out there. I'm going to back up a bit because there might be some people who are listening right now who do not know what their life path number is. And so, Natalie, I'm going to unmute you and I'll let you explain how to calculate, how everyone can calculate their life path number if they need to.
Okay. So get out a pen and a piece of paper. Okay. And what I want you to do is I want you to write down birthday. Okay. So the number of the month, the day, the year. All right. And then your next assignment, after you write down the number of the month, so if you're born November 11, the day, let's say the 5th, the year 1982, make sure not just to do 82, do the full year, okay? Write down that full birth date. Your next assignment is each segment, see, Leanne's already doing it, good. So each segment, I want you to reduce to a single digit. What I mean by that is if you are born December, the 12th month, you're going to add that down to a single digit. So 1 plus 2 is 3, okay? If you're born on, the 23rd, 2 plus 3 is 5. Single digit for each of these segments. If you're born 1982, 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 2 is 20. Keep reducing until you get a single digit. 20 is 2 plus 0 equals 2. Okay? So keep reducing, keep reducing. I don't get into advanced techniques here, but if you were born on the 22nd or the 11th, I don't want you to reduce. So master numbers 11 and 22 and 33, we typically want to just let them be. Okay. If you're born in November, you're going to do 11 plus your day of birth plus the single digit of the year. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, cool. So once you've ironed that down, then I want you to add those digits together. So let's say you're born December, that's actually a 3. So 3 plus you're born on the 22nd, a master number, don't reduce that. So 3 plus 22. And then you add in the year, the single digit of the year, which let's say is 2 for 1982. So you add the get a double digit number, keep adding unless it's a master number. If you get 11, 2, or 33, let it be. Okay. So keep adding until you get a single digit.
Alrighty. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing that, Nat. And I just want to say this is how powerful numbers are. So I am a life path number 9. Like I said, it's May 9th. We're in a 9 universal month. And the random birthday that I chose to reduce was a 9. And so, isn't that interesting? And so, why don't we get started? So, Natalie, I know when you and I were talking over the last couple of weeks, you had mentioned that right now, for all of the life path number 1s out there, this is, regardless of what we might be conditioned, this is actually the perfect time for a life path number 1 to be innovating and to be creating something new and something original. So, can you share more about what exactly does this mean for all of the life path 1s right now?
Well, first, I want to back up for 1 second because the life path number um, isn't actually who you are. Okay, this is actually an important distinction because when I go through the descriptions, you might go, "Oh, no, that's not me." So I want to help you out with this. So your life path number it's your mission. It's who you're called to. Okay, so what I'm about to share with you when I get to your life path number, it might not feel natural. It's not natural. I'm gonna say it this way. It is not natural for us to naturally embody the higher potential of our life path number. Okay. And I'm going to explain this. So you're a 1 life path. Your mission is to be a pioneer. Mission to go your own way, to tread your own path. So what that means during this quarantine time is that a way for you to align with your purpose is to make sure that you, like you said, you're being innovative. You are going your own way, making sure that you're tapping in to your independent ideas and insights and desires. Now, that's really important because for 1 life paths, the the suffering of their life is not doing that. It's not funny, but it is. Because every single life path has its own sort of training or its challenge. So for the one life path, the training, the challenge that every one life path faces is um, wondering if their unique insights and ideas and preferences, wondering if they really matter, if they should really go for it and tread their own path, or if maybe they should just fit in. So I'm here to tell you, no, you're not designed to fit in. Your mission when you were born was to stand out. So this is your time to realign with that, to realign with your personal desires, your personal preferences, and to start innovating. And for some people in business, that might mean creating like a new product or a new service. If you are working within a company, it might be sort of standing out and saying, hey guys, I've got this new idea. For other people who are students or maybe stay-at-home moms or that type of thing, it might simply be just standing in your power and standing in your uniqueness and being willing to speak up for what you think and what you believe. Okay. Um, is that third?
Yes, that is incredible. And so, a couple of things that come to mind that I want to share with everyone listening is Steve Jobs. He was a life path number one, and a lot of you might actually be watching this right now on one of the Apple or Mac devices that he pioneered. Lady Gaga is a life path number one. And I mean, she's definitely an example of standing out and being your own leader and doing things different. And one of her hit songs that actually got her to be the superstar that she is was You Were Born This Way. And so, just as I'm saying that, I'm getting chills. And I know that in the comments, I've noticed that some of the life path ones have been saying, wow, spot on. That is so true. And so I think that, there's so many comments. I could just read them all day. But I think that for everyone listening right now, too, there's wisdom to be learned there's wisdom that's available to all of us in each of these numbers. So if something really resonates with you that Nat says, and it's not your life path number, there's a chance that that number is in else, or you're really ready to embody and hear that message and incorporate it into your own life. And so, okay, so Nat, do you have anything else that you want to talk about the one, or should we move on to life path number
No, I think that's
two?
good.
Okay, so for the life path number two, I know that I know quite a few life path number twos. And the number two, if you think about it, it's one and a one. And it can be considered like one person and one person coming together. Two is the number of relationships. And so now is a really important time for the life path number twos to invest in peace and in healing conflict, but doing that from a place of empowerment. And so now I'll let you talk more about the life path number one and really sharing the opportunity and potential that's available, to all of the life path number twos that is available right now, especially at this time.
Yeah. So for if path that you are to become the peacemaker, Matt. So this is a time to deepen your relationships. This is a time to invest in peace. And I would say that what's really important right now for you is to assess how you can be a good partner. And two life paths might interpret that in the wrong way. So let me clarify what that means. Being a good partner is being able to assess and ask for what you need to to feel taken care of, to feel seen. So that can be a part of it. It could be that to feel those little blind spots in friendships, business partnerships, where maybe you feel that a need isn't being met, but then also it's an opportunity to ask the people in your life how you can best support them. It's what can I be doing to better support and cheerlead you and to help you. So, in a practical sense, this literally means just being willing to be open and receptive to seeing how you are doing as a partner in your family relationships, your friendships, in business. Okay. Being open to having those conversations. This is your opportunity to deepen those roots, to develop more insight into how you're control this mission, which can actually be very vulnerable. Twos are very, very sensitive, right? You're very perceptive. You can feel other people's thoughts and emotions. But the higher aspect of your purpose is to be involved in partnerships that are balanced. And so that means you're not just here to serve other people, you're here to be in healthy partnerships. So, what do you need to feel that balanced bond in your partnerships? And how can you better support other people? Um, so, this can also be a time where you might come back to home base and you might have an idea of how to team up with somebody or partner up with somebody in business. This might be where you just focus more on your intuition, make sure that foundation is stronger. It can also just be a time when you invest in peace. Like, what do you need to be able to show up as an energy and force of peace in your relationships?
I love that. There was a lot there. And again, I'm going back and forth between listening to you and tuning into a lot of the comments that are going on. And the one piece that I want to ask you a little bit more on that really stood out to me, as you said, with the number twos. One, they are here to create healthy relationships and to create peace. So at a time like this, when there's not as much peace in the world, I'm assuming that life path number twos are going to experience possibly the opposite of that even more. And so, what advice do you have for the number twos to help them tune into their inner peace, and maybe be receptive? That was something else, something to do with being open and being receptive to pieces all around them, but they're not receiving it, or they're not open. So I'm just curious to know what's are there.
Well, okay. So what can a two be doing to invest in peace? Is that kind of what I'm getting?
Yeah.
Well, here's the reason why I'm pausing. One of the things that's interesting when you have a two in your chart, it means that you are very relationship oriented. And so I want to honor that for twos. Sometimes twos get the message throughout their lives that they are codependent, right? Like, be more independent, be more this, be more that. No, it's like literally in your chart, thrive when you are in healthy partnerships. So, what I would first say to invest in peace is to really take a look at your relationships and make sure that the people that you're interacting with and you're partnering up with are in alignment with your values and that embrace activity. So that would be the first thing that I would say. Um, but it's equally as important to be connecting to the true ultimate relationship, and that is to connect with their creator. Because two can roll into people pleasing and feeling a little wonky when they do not have a private source of peace. So, this is why twos really, really thrive when they have a meditation practice or they're engaging in like Tai Chi, yoga, things like that, because it's a way for them to fill themselves up and to find that place of peace so that when they do come to those partnerships and relationships, they're coming from a calm, um, mm, diplomatic place.
Thank you. And so the a couple of the takeaways there again, that really stand out is just connecting. If you're a number two right now, the world is pretty chaotic. You might be challenged in the area of peace. And so really look within yourself and connect with that higher source, whether it's through journaling or meditating or visualizing or prayer, whatever that is. Tune into what makes you feel really great. And then also, this is for everyone, not just the life path number twos. make an effort to reach out to your friends and to the people in your life. We are living in a more isolated time, and sometimes we to check in on people and to see how they're doing. So now is a really wonderful time to genuinely connect with our loved ones. I also want to just take a minute and let everybody know that we do have a life path calculator. I am going to share this link in the chat box, but it is calculate CALCATOR dot numerologist numerologist.com. So calculator.numerologist.com. I know a lot of people have figured out their life path numbers, but we also have some other questions. So here we go. Alrighty, and so with that, Nat, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'd love to hear more about number threes. I know that in general, this is a time for them to be creative and to follow some of their ideas, but I'm just going to pass this over to you because I love hearing about this.
Yeah, okay. So for the three life paths, you are here to be the well, the creative and the artist, but I also like to say the eternal child. You guys are these like giggly bright lights. So right now, to make sure that you're realigning with your purpose, it's really, really important that you find your voice. So remember earlier, I was talking about how our life path isn't per se natural. And what I mean by that again is that the way that we get our purpose gets instigated in our lives is typically by experiencing the opposite of it. So for threes, there's always this like internal dialogue of what I say doesn't matter, what I say isn't worthy of being heard. They're actually ironically can be very shy, even to be performers or to be on stage or to be teachers. So I digress. So the three life path, you are here to be the creative and to invest in those creative pursuits. You know, this is your time to find your voice and to use your voice. So if you've been hiding, if you've been staying quiet, if you've been holding back from doing that thing, creating that thing that you want to create, whether, you know, it's a book, a program, a piece of art, you know, now's your time to come back home to that mission and to realize that what you do that makes you joyful and happy is ultimately what is going to attract even greater opportunities to you.
I absolutely love that last little bit that you said, because I think that we have the tendency to focus on maybe what we think is logical or what we should do. But if we were to all focus on what brings us joy and what we love doing, and especially if you're a life path number three, you're going to see significant positive shifts in your life. And so, Nat, I know I'm being mindful of time here. We've got about 17 minutes left, and I want to get through more life path numbers. So I'm going to talk less, and I'm going to pass this over to you. So with the number four, so for the life path number fours, this is like a double. We're in a universal 4-year, and you're a life path 4. So pay attention and listen to what Nat has to say for all of the life path number 4s out there right now.
Yeah, so for you guys, this is very potent. This is a very potent time. So, you life path fours, you guys are the builders, you guys are the stabilizers. So, this is your time to take practical action on the details in your life that you may be ignoring. This is your time to stabilize your own life. Um, the key for you is to come back to the knowing of the incredible power that you have to create thriving versus just survival. So this is the pain for the 4, right? This is the training for the 4. There's that part of you sometimes that's like exhausted and tired and living within the survival paradigm. And we want to move you out of that up into the higher potential of your true mission. You are here to thrive. The way that you thrive is coming back to the practicals. What can you be doing in your life to stabilize the very foundation? I mean, This could be physical body stuff. Like this could be where you are focusing on exercise, weightlifting, nutrition. This could be accounting. This could be taking care of your home. Um, or it could be actually starting to act on that missing puzzle piece that you've been sensing in the project or at work that is maybe creating some fundamental instability. But the key here is they're actually addressing the real stuff. That's what I love about this mission of the four. It's about, okay, those ideas are all great and fine. What are you going to do about it? So this is your time to kind of get back down into the details, to get back down into the practicals, and to really see yourself. I almost want you to envision that like you're this big oak tree and that your roots are deepening and that you're extracting more, nutrients and water from the soil, and you're becoming stronger and rooted, right? It's like it's coming back down to that place where you are a strong, um, stable person who can then share that stability with the world, who can then inspire other people with this incredible authenticity.
That is so powerful. And for everyone who's just asking right now, we are going to get through all the life path numbers. And so at the beginning of this conversation, we talked about the universal 4 year that we're in, and then the universal 9 month that we're in. Now we're running through all of the life path numbers. And so, Natalie, can you share what's in store and just tell us a bit about a life path number 5, and what is the specific training or the challenges that they might be experiencing in general in their life, but specifically right now. And I know the number 5 is pretty fun, so I'm excited for this.
Yeah, my 17-year-old daughter is a 5. Okay. Gosh, there's so much to talk about. Okay. So 5 life paths. You guys are the liberators, the freedom seekers, and you're here to shake things up, you guys. You're here to break us out of the mold. So this is the time for you to come to terms with what needs to change, with what needs to be with what needs to evolve. So is there a new adventure that you've been wanting to take? Um, is there something that you've been feeling has been keeping you confined, and you're ready to sort of break out of the box, break out of the rules, and go do something exciting, something progressive, something different? That's what the 5 is all about. So one of the lessons of a 5, the training, is cautiousness. It's fear. It's fear of taking risks. It's fear of doing those things that actually excite you. You were born to be an adventurer. You got to start to take those calculated risks, to start to feel that fervor and that passion for your life coming back, right? So if plan that trip, redo your resume if you want a different job, um, write down that new career or business idea. Embrace the changes that you've been feeling need to take place so that you can actually be excited about life, because that's what we need from you. As a 5 life path, we need to look at you and say, oh my gosh, that's what it looks like to live an unconventional, freedom oriented life. Okay. So because time, should I just move on to the 6?
Keep
Okay.
going. Let's do it.
Okay. Okay, 6s. Oh gosh, I love you guys. So you guys are here to be the healers, the nurturers, the carers. Oh, this is really a time to assess how you can better impact those people that are ready to receive your gifts. Um, but the key here is to process, where are you putting your energy? Okay. So, first of all, for 6s, right now, I want you to make sure that you're taking good care of yourself, because during a crisis like this, there's a tendency to sacrifice yourself to take care of everybody else. Okay. So, number one, to truly be able to activate that higher potential of your life path and to reap the benefits of it, you need to be a full cup. You need to be taking care of you. So, where are you putting your energy? Are you investing in yourself and your own well being and your own health? That's number one. You guys are sacrificial lambs, and I want to stop that paradigm. But the second thing then is to ask yourself how you can help people, and particularly help people that are receptive to your gifts. This is very, very important. So this might be where you kind of come back to square one, come back home, and ask, what are the ways that I can help comfort other people, help produce a result with other people that really are receptive to my joyful gifts. That's very, very key for you guys as sixes. I don't want you to deplete yourself. I don't want you to drain yourself. I don't want you to think that to heal, you have to do that. This is a time to kind of basically come back home and realize that you are here to be an overflowing cup who is attracting people who want to benefit from the shining example of you. Is that clear, Leanne?
Yeah. And the one thing I just want to say is that we're going to get through all the numbers, and you have to fill your own cup first so that then you can overflow. So I'm now the number 7. I absolutely love the number 7. So let's hear what's in store for the number 7s in this time, and how they can really step into their power.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a 7 life path client of mine right now, and she is just fulfilling her life path to a T during quarantine. So the 7 life path, you are the metaphysician, the shaman. You are here to create deeper meaning in this life. So this is your time to research and deepen that realm of study, to solve that problem that all the rest of us are stuck in. You know, you have access, you have this incredible mind, and you have an incredible intellect that allows you to access the understructure of how things work. Okay? So this is your time to search for and find solutions. So whether that means taking courses, sharing the knowledge that you have, that you've already unearthed. But this is your time to kind of come out and start to help the rest of us create that deeper meaning, tap into those fundamental solutions. And so, this client of mine that I'm thinking of, she's an incredible, incredible force in the mental health world. And she is using this as an opportunity to help spread the word about how important it is to focus on the fundamental solutions that create mental health. Okay. So you guys are really, really important right now. Okay. 8 life path. I'm an 8 life path. So high five to everybody that's an 8 life path. Who we are the CEOs. We are the authorities, right? We are here to accumulate abundance and wisdom and share it with others. In particular, to accumulate power and share it with others. So this is your time to put money into your business, to put energy into your business, and to put energy into your money life, because this is a huge aspect of our mission, is to develop confidence and proficiency in the world of commerce, in the world of giving services, or giving a product of some kind. So it's very, very important during this time to make sure that you are seeing yourself as the CEO of your position, in work, or of your company, or to see yourself as the CEO of your life. To not give your power away to other authority figures and to think that other people are capable of achieving abundance or success and you aren't. This is your time to come back down to home base and say, all right, let me restructure my budget. Let me restructure my finances. Let me create a business plan so that the power is in my hands and I'm able to actually go out in the world, go out in the business world with confidence and proficiency. Okay,
I love
keep
it.
going. Okay,
Keep going. Let's do this.
okay. So 9 life path, and that's you, Leanne, right?
Yes, it is. And my dad.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So, you 9 life paths, you guys are the wise old souls and the humanitarians. And so, during this time, it is very, very important that you realign and recommit yourself to that heart centered mission. Nines do not thrive unless they are connected to a higher cause that's beyond themselves. Okay. The rest of the numbers, we can. Nines can't. They have to be involved in something that's bigger than them, something that's like world level, making the world a better place, right? Homelessness, hunger, oh my gosh, something that they feel is really going to actually change the trajectory of our planet. So the key is to channel all of that incredible passion and feeling that you have and subtle disillusionment, to channel it into actually making the world a better place. So, you know, some examples could be that you're donating to worthy causes and like that. But for most nines, it's actually sitting with yourself and asking, um, how can I make a difference in the world? Is there something that I need to be tweaking or doing different within my family unit, within my career, so that I can actually feel that I'm making an impact, so that I actually feel that I'm making a difference? That's really key.
I feel that deeply. And well, we have the Soul Summit. And so I feel like the Soul Summit is a very nine life path thing to do.
It is. It is. It's perfect.
Woohoo, awesome. Okay, so what about the master numbers? Because there is so much wisdom and depth in the master numbers, and I think we've got quite a few 11s, 22s, and 33s on with us.
All right. Yeah. So if you're an 11, you are here to be the spiritual messenger. Um, I know that your sensitivity is overwhelming. Um, I know that there's a lot of nervous tension for you right now, but I want to remind you of where your true power comes from. As an 11 life path, your power comes from getting quiet and listening to the messages that are coming through from that energy that's bigger than you. That's where you guys thrive. That's where you guys get the insights and the ideas that you need to move to the next level. So this is your time to meditate, to do automatic writing, to journal, to share your inspiring perspective with others. You guys are illuminators. You're here to illuminate, but you have to make sure that you're connected to that source of peace and well-being so that you can share that energy with the world.
Thank you. I love that.
Okay. All right, 22s, the builders. Um, you guys, this, if there was any part of you that was thinking that your dreams were never going to come true, that your dreams aren't practical, like this is the time to just like totally obliterate that thought. This is your time to reconnect with the vision or the dream that you had that honestly for you as 22s you were probably born with, you know, to reconnect with that vision and to reassess a plan for making it a reality, because you guys are brilliant at taking something from the esoteric, ethereal realm and grounding it down with practical, tangible action. So, create a step-by-step plan to achieve that dream. I mean, get down into the practicals and also reach out because of the double two, open yourself up to the idea that you can reach out and other people can, who align with your vision, who align with your dream, can help you. Other people can help you achieve this like new kingdom or this dream. They can help you achieve it and make it real.
Every time I think of a 22, I do think of like a king or a queen, like they're really building their kingdom because there's the four there and then it's working with other people. So I love that.
Yeah, they're very, very powerful individuals. And the greatest level of pain is feeling this complete sense of overwhelm, that that vision is so impossibly big, that they feel sabotaged by that. And I'm just here to remind you, just focus on the next step, the step-by-step plan to get you from, to get you the next mile, right? And definitely reach out for help, because that's something that is very, very important for 22s, is to make sure that they are surrounding themselves with people that are cheering them on and that want to help them build their dream. Okay, so let's move into the last life path number. Wow, we're right down at the wire. Okay, so 33 life path. Oh gosh, you guys are the master teachers. Um, what's really important for all of you is to make sure that you are tapping back into that joyful hobby. Now, this might not be applicable to all of you. So if you are a 33 who's really far on your developmental path, your hobby might already be something that's fully integrated into your life. It might be something that's sort of the lifeblood of your existence. But for most 33s, there is this feeling that they cannot invest in the things that truly bring them joy because they have to be responsible and accountable to taking care of everybody else. Okay, so this is your time to tap back into that joyful hobby, and putting that in quotes, to do those things that really light you up, so that you become this really big beacon of light who is healing other people, healing the world, not directly, but healing the world because of your mere presence. That's one of the most incredible gifts of the 33. They are somebody who walks their talk. They are somebody who actually is in their personal life, activating and investing in their own joy and their own creative bliss. Okay, so that's writing, music, dancing, studying something that absolutely lights you up that you just cannot keep your mouth shut about. Those are the things that are going to help you get back on path and that are going to help you attract even more resources from the universe.
Thank you so much, Natalie. I can't believe how fast our time went together. It always does. It goes so fast. And so before we wrap up this presentation with, or this session with Natalie and welcome our next guest expert, I want to hear from everybody right now. Share what is one positive takeaway that you have learned from Natalie joining us today. Share it in the chat. It's really quite incredible to be able to get the wisdom of the numbers and the tidbits of the universe from you. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here with us. And everyone who's listening, again, Natalie is one of our partners at numerologist.com. There's something fun planned with her coming soon, so stay tuned to that. I know that as we were planning for this event, I actually saw a lot of questions about meaning of repeating numbers. Natalie has created an incredible course called The Meaning of Repeating Numbers with numerologists. And I will be following up with an email just letting you guys know how you can reach out and connect with her and support her either through one of her programs with numerologists or by reaching out to her at her website, thenumerologychick.com. She does coaching and she is just, as you can tell, she's full of wisdom. And so, Natalie, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Leanne. This was so much fun.
It really was. And with that, you can hop off. I don't want to say goodbye, but the time has come.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Yes, Nat. Have a wonderful weekend. All right, everybody. So that wraps up our very first session of the Soul Summit, and we are just getting started. So I know there were a lot of questions about the life path number, and I want you guys to know that throughout the day, we have other numerologists who are joining us. And so what I'm going to do is during our lunch break, I'm going to send out an email with a link to the life path calculator. That calculator will also calculate your other numbers in your personal numerology chart, so you can come prepared with those numbers ready. Because like I said, we have an incredible lineup of guest experts joining us all day. And so I think that you guys will find it really valuable to have insight into your personal numerology chart. So, Natalie is so wonderful. And I just love seeing that everybody's sharing what some of the takeaways that they've learned from this. And so we're going to get started, and I'm going to welcome on our next guest in just a minute. Before I do, I want to run through a couple of housekeeping items with everyone. So if you can hear me right now, if you ever are first of all, I recommend once you're in this room, just stay in this room. We are live streaming all day. And so again, the Soul Summit is going from 10 a.m. and now it's almost 11:20 and we're going to be here until 6 p.m. Pacific time. And I'm going to be interviewing all of our different experts and guest speakers today. So just make sure if you're here, just keep this window open and you can go if you need to quickly grab some water or something. We do have a lunch break planned in after our next speaker. But just leave this room open because once you're in and it's working, why not just come hang out? So with that being said, I would absolutely love to welcome our next guest expert onto the virtual stage, Kelly Fox. I see that you are in the waiting wings. That's hard to say right now. And Kelly, so for those of you who don't know, Kelly is a world-renowned astrologer. Before I met Kelly, I thought that astrology was sun signs, really. I think that we probably all know our sun signs here, and we've seen the little readings that you get in the newspapers. And what I now know is that there is so much more that goes on behind the scenes to truly understanding the planets and the stars and the exact date and time that we were born at, and how this all interacts to really really impact and lead and direct our life and influence what we experience. So and Kelly is certified in things that I didn't even know existed. Like there's universities and masters and all of these things. I know I'm not doing it justice, Kelly, but I really just want to drive home the fact that she is the best of the best. And I'm so honored that you're here with us today. And I'm going to flip this over. So hello, Kelly. Woohoo!
Hello, hello. Hi, Leanne. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak on this incredible Soul Summit. And I'm just blown away by how amazing the first session was. And that was just the first session. So I hope everybody can hear me, because I had a little bit of echo trying to hear you. So fingers crossed that this works out okay and everybody can hear me okay. But yes, what a year 2020 is. It's just mind-boggling. And even though, we knew as astrologers what was coming, we didn't quite know the extent of the transformation that our planet is going through at this time.
Yeah. And so I know earlier this week when you and I were connecting and when we were talking, we've talked about 2020, sort of the 30,000-foot view. And then it's really clear that right now we're moving into the age of Aquarius. And I know that this is something that I've heard for a really long time, like the age of Aquarius is coming. So I'm curious, what the heck does that mean?
Yes, and every time I hear that saying, I always think of the song by The Fifth Dimension, and then it typically gets stuck in my head. But the age of Aquarius is upon us, and the words ring so true from that 1960s or 19. And so in astrology, an age lasts about 2,000 years. And we've just, for the past 2,000 years, been in the age of Pisces. And so now we're moving, we're in the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And a lot of people had thought that at the turn of the century, so the year 2000, that Aquarius would, appear overnight. But really, because it takes 2,000 years, there's going to be a bit of a ramp up to it. And we're right at that precipice of the age of Aquarius. And so what happens is, in March of this year, Saturn, the planet of karma, responsibility, discipline, duty, obligation, rules, regulation, structure, moved into Aquarius, where it will be until March 2023. And then March 2023 is when Pluto, which is the generational planet, moves into Aquarius as Saturn moves out of it. So and then of course at the turn of the century we had the other outer planets, Uranus and Neptune, in Aquarius. So once we've had the outer planets in Aquarius, that will officially be the age of Aquarius. But there is definitely a build up to that. And what it means is Aquarius is the sign of the humanitarian. It's very much the philanthropist. It's science, it's technology, it's peer-to-peer, and it levels the playing field. So it's like we are one. We are in this together. We are linking arms. Now, it's a little bit of an aloof sign. So the term social distancing has come about just so recently. And I always think that's very Aquarian. That's very Saturn in Aquarius. It's very the age of Aquarius. So what we can expect over the course of the next few years, and then of course the next 2,000 are amazing technological and scientific breakthroughs.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing. And I just want to take a minute because I'm reading as you're talking, Kelly. I'm also just keeping an eye on the comments right now. And I would love to, everyone just read, if you can hear me and you can't hear Kelly, just take a minute and refresh. And so let's just refresh. You can do that. If you're not sure how to refresh, you can just go take your mouse and your cursor, put it in the URL and hit return or enter. And then hopefully you can hear both Kelly and I, because Kelly is the star of the stars. And I know she's going to be sharing a lot of incredible information. So while people are doing that, I just want to take a minute to give you an overview of what Kelly and I are discussing today in this session. So we're lucky we have more than an hour with Kelly. We've got about 80 minutes left with her. So this is just so incredible. And we definitely need all of that time to go through and review and talk about if talk about what's going on in 2020. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through the 2020 astrological forecast. And then Kelly is similar to what Natalie did. Kelly is going to be going through and she's going to be giving an astrological outlook for each sun sign. And so stay tuned. Okay, so with that being said, Kelly, I know where do you want to start? Should we take a look? Should we go back to the very beginning of the year? Because I know that there's been a lot of astrological trends and things going on since the beginning of 2020. And I know I always find it really interesting to take a look at what's gone on recently so that we can truly understand what is going on right now.
Yes. And I just have to also say that you're very echoey. So I'm catching some of what you're saying. So please forgive me if I miss the question, but I will do my best. The beginning of 2020. So I'm going to be mindful of the time because there is so much to say about 2020 and there is so much that has gone on already and that will continue to go on as we go through this very transformational and transitional year for everybody and every sign. So 2020 started with a very, very intense lunar eclipse. Now, eclipses happen, solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse happen every year, typically 2 to 3 times per year. And a solar eclipse is a supercharged new moon, and a lunar eclipse is a supercharged full moon. So on January 10th, we started off with a supercharged lunar eclipse, so a supercharged full moon, and that was in Cancer. So that was January 10th. And so what that typically means is that, especially because it's in the sign of Cancer, that emotions were very much at the surface. And 3 days later, we had the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And so that's the theme, that's the basis for this year. Now, Saturn is a planet of karma, responsibility, boundaries, rules, regulations, structure, discipline, obligations. And then Pluto is the planet of change and transformation. And I have to say, it's about forced change rather than, we're willingly sort of skipping into change. I mean, nobody wants this type of change that's been going on this year. So when you put those two energies together in the sign of Capricorn, now Capricorn's all about building and structure and foundations. And so that's how the year started. So then Saturn moved into Aquarius, where it will be for the next 3 years. And so Saturn in Aquarius is all about the karma of the people, or in some ways it's the burden of the people. So what Saturn teaches us in astrology is that if we're willing to put in the hard work, the results will come and things will be much better. But the thing with Saturn is it's like you never believe it at the time. It's always, it's our greatest teacher. And that's what really karma is. karma is our greatest teacher. And, of course, the saying, you reap what you sow, is all tied into karma and the burden of Saturn. So that was March 21st of this year. And so Saturn will then, I'll continue with Saturn because I don't want to sort of jump around because there's so much to say about 2020. But Saturn, we might find that we get a bit of a reprieve in July through December or through the end of November. And that's because Saturn will retrograde back into Capricorn. So what that means is when a planet turns retrograde, regardless of what the planet is or what the energy is about of that planet, it's about reviewing something from the past. And especially with Saturn as the key planet of 2020, it's very much about what are we going to review from the past that has to do with structure, that has to do with authority, obligation, boundaries, discipline, regulations, rules, and most importantly, responsibility. So, and because it started off with the movement into Aquarius, where we can expect for the next 3 years, it's all about the responsibility of the people. So that's what we're dealing with at this time. But July through December will be a reprieve where we're reviewing something as a whole or as humanity. We're reviewing something because, of course, Pluto is also in Capricorn at the moment, where it will be for another 3 years. So it's very much about what are the rules and structures that we stand upon with Saturn, and then they're going to be breaking down and changing with Pluto. Now, I just want to say as well that Pluto is the modern day ruler of Scorpio. And so the symbol Scorpio is not scorpion, but it's actually the phoenix rising from the ashes. So the symbology of the phoenix rising from the ashes is that something, and with Pluto, the mythology of Pluto as well is something has to be. I'm trying to think of a word for this, but something has to be not just changed, but something has to be taken away before we can rise up into the new world, into the age of Aquarius, and move forward with new technologies and new scientific breakthroughs. Oh, so that's in half the year, Leanne. Should I keep going?
Well, I just want to jump in and I want to share a couple of things. And so already I'm starting to see how the perspective that Nat shared from a numerology perspective, there's the similarities that are already starting to appear in the beginning of 2020 with the astrology and what's going on in the sky. And so for everyone is listening, I know the boundaries and taking and creating structure and stability, that was really coming to mind. Those are some things that stood out that you were saying. And the other thing that kept coming to mind, Kelly, as you were talking about the astrological trends that are started now and they're going to happen for the next few years, is really sometimes, like you said, it might seem impossible or it might seem difficult where you're at, but just taking the next best step. Like sometimes we might not know what's going to happen. Like we are in a very uncertain time, but if you can just tune in and figure out that one next best step that you can be taking or one thing you can do to move forward, that's going to be beneficial with what's going on in the planets. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And with Saturn and Pluto, they are the planets that take things away. But what they do is they take things away. And if we're patient, because that's another key word of Saturn, if we're patient and responsible, then the rewards will be much bigger than what we had previously. So with Saturn turning retrograde in beginning of December, it might give us a false sense of reprieve if we're not reviewing and looking to the past of what worked then and bringing it forward into the future. So yes.
Okay, wonderful. So that basically took us through the first few months of the year, and now we are in May. And I know it's crazy. You've already shared so much in my mind. I'm like, wow, there's so much wisdom to tap into here. And so right now, we just had a full moon in Scorpio. I know you and I talked about that the other day, and May 9th is actually a really powerful and special day, and we didn't know this when we chose the day of the Soul Summit. And when I told you it was May 9th, you looked it up. And so can you share what's in store for May? Let's start breaking it down month by month.
You dropped out there, but I'm thinking you asked me about the Scorpio full moon and today, so I'll talk about that.
Awesome.
So the recent full moon that we had on Thursday was a full moon in Scorpio, but it wasn't just a regular old full moon. It was a super moon, and so that will be the last super moon of 2020. And what it means by super moon is the moon in its orbit around the Earth, and both in their orbit around the sun. The moon is very close to the Earth, more than usual, and that's why it looks bigger. And so, what that means astrologically is that the influence of the moon, which is responsible for emotions and feelings, nurturing, it's the mother. So those things will come up more so, or be heightened or bigger in our lives. And of course, it depends on where the Scorpio full moon would fall in an individual's chart overall. This moon, super moon, that we're still under the influence of, because in astrology, an influence or an astrological event is not, the effects are not felt just in the moment that it happens. It depends on the planet. So the moon we consider an inner planet. It will happen in a lot shorter duration than, say, the influence of Saturn and Pluto, which can go on for years. So with the Scorpio full moon, it's all about not just intensity, but I don't need to remind everybody about that, particularly during a very intense year. But the Scorpio full moon is a culmination of release. And as I said, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. So this full moon in Scorpio is actually ruled by Pluto, which is, of course, one of the key planets of 2020. And so it's all about releasing and letting go. But that's I don't want that to sound superficial or fluffy, because it's all about forced change, metamorphosis, and moving beyond. But sometimes with the mythology, and particularly with the mythology of Pluto, it's all about going to the underworld, and then going to the underworld and being able to rise above those very hard, tough experiences. So the full moon, typically, which happens every month, is basically like a giant mirror in the sky. So it reflects back to us what is going on. And if you think about the cycles of the moon phases, it starts with the new moon, and the new moon is a dark sky. We can't see the moon. And then in 2 weeks, it becomes the full moon. So the moon grows through its moon phases. And so that's how quickly, that's why, the moon rules Cancer. And if you are fortunate enough to have a Cancerian in your life, you know that they could be a little bit moody. I was trying to think of a nice word for that. A little bit moody, retreat into their shell, but they will definitely always come out. And then today, specifically, what we have going on today is a really, really lovely Mercury trine Pluto aspect. So what that means is Mercury is a planet of communication, and a trine is a very fortuitous, easy flowing energy. And when it comes together with Pluto in a nice, positive way, it's very, very good for communication and getting ideas across. So when Leanne picked this day, I definitely checked my ephemeris. Oh, and for those of you who don't know what an ephemeris is, this is what I use every day, all day, to do my astrology work. And it gives me the positions of the planets at any given time in their movements around the sun. And then I put interpretation to movement of the planets. And that's where all those dreaded Mercury retrogrades come from.
So thank you, Kelly. So I just want to take a minute and recap some of the things that you shared. And just to give everybody who's joining now, because I know we have more people joining us from all over the world. I am on live right now with Kelly Fox. And she is a master astrologer. And what we're talking about today is we're really tapping into the astrological trends of 2020. And why are we doing this? Well, when we do this, we know, so we've basically reviewed the beginning of the year, and now we are up till now. Today, she's just talked about May and May 9th. Now, what we're going to be focusing on for the rest of the time is we're really going to be looking at the astrological trends that are waiting for us throughout the year. And by having an understanding of the greater energetic forces at play, we're actually able to respond versus react. And I don't know about everybody who's listening right now, but when times are challenging, when there's a lot of change going on, there's a lot of uncertainty, it is really easy to go into reactive mode. Whether that's happening on a level within yourself, within your family, within your profession, within the city, the state, the country that you live in. And so what we're doing is we're tuning into the power of astrology and the knowledge of really the astrological trends so that you guys know what's happening, so you can be prepared and you can truly create the positive future and the life that you want to live and that you deserve to live. Because one of the other trends that I've noticed as I've been talking with the different experts and preparing for this is that we truly are in a portal of creation. And Kelly, I think that you were the one who said this. And so can you just share a little bit about what the heck does this mean and what are the opportunities that exist for everyone?
It's absolutely, you really hit the nail on the head. This year is the portal, and it's the year of transformation, change, metamorphosis, transformation. It's the year that we are tested, and obviously we are challenged as humankind. And so many people are just going through such hard times that we could never have predicted or expected. But if we're called upon, because of the Saturn in Aquarius, we're called upon to band together. You know, we are in this together. I keep hearing that, and it does sound a bit cliche, but we absolutely are in this together as humankind across the globe. And it happened so quickly, so fast that I think at least first few weeks, nobody was really understanding the shock of what the change is about. But we will evolve and we will grow as humankind. And as I said before, this is about scientific and technological breakthroughs, as well as paying attention to authority. Because Saturn is about authority, and it's about rules and regulations and structure and discipline. So we will get this through this. And, the symbol of 2020 is the phoenix rising from the ashes.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. And so again, when you were talking, I think what was coming to mind here is that sometimes when everything's changed. We were thrown a curveball. I saw that in one of the comments, and it's true. It was an absolute curveball. And sometimes it's like we have to wipe the slate clean, and we have to let go of what we thought we wanted or what we were holding on to truly step into this portal of creation, or into creating a better life, or a life that is more aligned and more true for us. And so again, I just want to remind everyone, when you signed up for this, you were gifted our full moon manifestation guide. And so I'll make sure that it's sent out again, but we really wanted to provide that gift for everybody who's with us today, because it is a powerful time to be able to just look at what's not serving you in your life anymore, and what the heck do you want to let go of? Because now what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about moving forward from today. And so, Kelly, can you share what else is coming up in May? And then if it trickles into June, let's just keep going into June.
Yes. So May is a turning point, astrologically speaking, because we have quite a few planets turning retrograde. Now, what that means is just basically the little technological explanation of that. Not technological. I've got technology on the brain. The technical the technical explanation of that is that from our perspective here on Earth, the planets move around the sun at varying speed. So what happens is that they slow down and speed up. So when the planets slow down, from where we stand, they look like they're moving backwards, but we know that the planets don't really move backwards. It's just an optical illusion. So when the planets move backwards or turn retrograde in astrology, the outer planets, it's not so much of a big deal because they're retrograde probably about nearly half the time. But when the inner planets turn retrograde, and specifically Mercury, Venus, and Mars, that is a big deal in astrology. So in May, we've got Venus, the planet of love, turning retrograde. Now, that's the planet that turns retrograde the least amount of times. So Venus, the planet of love, money, friendship, values, social energy. Venus is currently in Gemini. So Venus in Gemini is a very, very social energy. It's very social. We're typically out and about. We're connecting with other people. It's all about networking. So at this time, because we're so many of us are in lockdown, it's going to be quite difficult during this Venus retrograde. So what that means is, particularly for the mutable signs, and the mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, there could be some frustration. But on that note, the mutable signs are very adaptable. So it's not going to be as hard as what it might be for the fixed signs, who really find it hard to make those changes, and the fixed signs being Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius.
Alrighty, and while you take that sip, I'm going to take this opportunity to just let everybody know my name is Leanne. All of your names are showing up as Leanne right now, and that's okay. It was just a technical thing that went on. And so just share your name with us. If you want us to know your name, we will read it. But I also think that it is quite fitting because we are all one. We're all in this together. That's what this Soul Summit is all about. We're all in it together. And so, yeah, tell us your names. Let us know where you're from. But let's not get hung up on that. But I did see some questions, so I wanted to address it. Now, Kelly, back to you.
So Venus in Gemini for May. It's about, again, it's about looking at our values or our friendships or even our relationships from the past, and they will be very significant at this time. So with Venus turning retrograde, it really is a big deal. It's a planet that turns retrograde the least amount of times. And so we've also got Jupiter and Saturn, and of course Pluto at the end of April turned retrograde. So what a retrograde planet means is a change of direction, or a renew, or a halt in some ways. It's like we can't move forward until we fix things from the past, is what it means. And that goes for all of us, but of course it will depend on where exactly these retrograde planets fall in your astrology chart. Now, June, we need a drum roll for this one. So June is another big month in 2020. So really the key months of 2020 are January, June, and December. I mean, there's intensity all throughout, but these are very pivotal months. So what's happening in June is that we've got eclipse season. So the first eclipse of eclipse season is June 5th, and that is a lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. Now, if you're a mutable sign or you have any planets in mutable signs, and that's Gemini, Libra, Sagittarius, and Pisces. This is a culmination. This is a time, an intense time, of course, in an intense year, but this is a time where something will build up and something will come to a head, especially for everybody, but especially for those signs. And so that's June 5th. And the lunar eclipse will be in Sagittarius. And so Sagittarius, that energy is all about exploration, adventure, paving new ways, taking a step back and looking at a situation from a higher point of view. Because the thing is, so many of us are in crisis at the moment. And so when we're dealing with stress and unexpected events, it's hard to take that step back. It's really difficult to look at a situation from a different perspective or a different point of view. Now, what's going to be really, really crucial around this lunar eclipse on June 5th is other countries, foreigners and other countries. So it's going to be very important that we look to other countries to help us or to shine a light back to us or reflect back to us what is going on. Because sometimes with a full moon, it's very much about it shines the light where the light has not been shone before. So what that means is it shines into the darkest corners because especially because it's a lunar eclipse. So there'll be things that are highlighted or coming to the surface that we had not anticipated. Now that's just June 5th. So we have, I've got to put my glasses on here to read my ephemeris, but I want to sort of do this in sequential order, but it's so hard because there's just so much here. So we've also got that dreaded Mercury retrograde that's coming up in June, and that looks like it's turning retrograde depending on where you are in the world, June 17th or 18th. And so Mercury retrograde means communication gets confused. Maybe our lips are moving and we can hear our own voice, but other people are just taking it the wrong way. Well, that's our perception of that. Why it's even more supercharged is because Mercury will be turning retrograde in Cancer. Now, Cancer is the sign of the moon. So it's all about emotions and feelings, whereas Mercury is planet of the mind and the intellect. So those two don't really mesh very well together. So we might find, given we're in eclipse season with this Mercury retrograde during June, that emotions will be very heightened and coming to the surface. And so many of us might be shooting from the hip, and that's especially if you're a cardinal sign, and that's Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. It might be a time just to sort of slow down a little bit, take a step back, as I keep saying. As cliche as this sounds, it's even before speaking. So it's good just to sort of slow things down a bit. And then we're building up to June 21st. And so what happens on June 21st is the solstice. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, then it's the summer solstice. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, then it's the winter solstice. So the solstice is very highly regarded and revered and celebrated in the astrological world because it marks the change of the season. And that's how Western astrologers calculate astrology based off the seasons and the change of the seasons. And there is a branch of astrology that really looks at world events, and they base it off the change of the seasons. So you've got the equinox marking the spring and the autumn, and then you've got the solstice for the summer and the winter. So that in itself happens every year, but why it's really this year on exactly the same day, we have a solar eclipse. Now, if you remember what I said before about eclipses, they're a really big deal according to astrologers because they're these supercharged new moons and full moons. So to actually have two major astrological events on the same day is absolutely incredible. So what that means is the solar eclipse, and I'm just looking at the degree. Yes, of course, it's 0 degrees Cancer. So what that means is that it's a change of feeling, it's a change of emotion. You know, we're moving in a new direction. Now that's right in front of Saturn turning retrograde in early July, and then of course with the Mercury retrograde. So we've got all these events happening all around the same time. And I'm just looking here, and of course Mars is another key planet of this year. I mean, all the planets seem to be key this year, but Mars is another key planet, because Mars at the end of June, right around Saturn retrograding, the Mercury retrograde, the solstice, the solar eclipse, Mars, the planet of action and assertion, the warrior planet, moves into its own sign of Aries. Now, the reason why that's a big deal this year is because Mars will turn retrograde during the autumn or the spring if you're in the southern hemisphere. So what that means is that this is an extra long Mars cycle. Mars typically is in one sign for 6 weeks, but this time it's in Aries for 6 months. Now, that's a big deal because when it does turn retrograde in September, it's going to be all about impatience and frustration. So what we need to do when we have our little bit of a reprieve during the Northern Hemisphere's summer months is to get our bases, our bases lined up, but get our structure solid as we can during these very, very uncertain times. So it's not about stockpiling. It's more about getting very stable and steady and solid within ourselves as the world, you know, we're living through these very chaotic times. But if we can just center ourselves and ground ourselves, that's what we're being asked to do.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing. And I'm just going to take a minute and recap, because Kelly, you just shared a lot of, well, it's just incredible how much is truly going on. And so for everyone, I know everyone out there, it's like, we can just take a deep breath, because now we have a glimpse and we have some insight into what is ahead. And so I want to quickly recap some of the high level takeaways from what Kelly just shared, so that we can really just, you know, let this all sink in. And so one of the things that I've learned recently in talking with you, Kelly, is retrogrades. Retrogrades, when a planet goes into retrograde, what that means is that it's reversing. And when it reverses, like we have Venus going into retrograde, that means that people from your past might be coming into your life, especially relationships. And so just know right now we are in Venus retrograde. What does this mean? Don't be surprised if you hear from an ex-boyfriend, or if people from your past show up right now. Or maybe you find yourself thinking about these people again. Same trend here. Look to the past, learn. How can you close? How can you, close some of those doors, or take those learnings and apply it to your life right now? So we've got our Venus in retrograde. Now I'm going to quickly fast forward. I was frantically taking some notes here. In June, we have eclipses. We have the lunar eclipse. And really, again, we have the lunar eclipse and we have the solar eclipse. And so eclipses, there's going to be heightened emotions. I know that one of the eclipses is in Cancer. Going to be even emotions. So just knowing that there are going to be like these heightened times of the eclipses, if you find yourself getting overwhelmed, or if you find yourself getting worked up or feeling emotional, just take a minute. Just take a minute and pause and take a deep breath and tune into doing something that takes care of you and making you feel good, because the other trend is self-care. And that was something that Natalie was talking about as well. It's like, what can we do to really build this stable foundation for ourselves? And so right now our lives are very different. And I want to encourage everyone to just take a minute and start thinking about what can you do to start creating a stable foundation and a stable environment